John Paul, a celebrated behavioral scientist and a Jesuit priest, has written a lot of insightful books on the premise of behavioral science. And this is what he's got to say. It's law of human life as certain as gravity. To live fully, we must learn to use things and love people rather than love things and use people. Well, most are doing the latter part of it, of loving things and using people, because they've got desire on things, and for that to get all those things, they exploit people, manipulate people, use people to get all those things they desire. So, therefore, if their life is not working, it's because of the wrong priority. As John Powell very beautifully has put it, it's as certain as gravity. If you want to live a fuller life, it's important to have your priority right of loving people and using things, because things are all inanimate. I might love a thing, but the thing cannot receive or reciprocate love. But if I tell a person, I love you, that person can receive, reciprocate the love, or even reject the love, because that person, a human being, has got an emotional dimension where they can understand, receive, or reject love. So, here it's very important to live a right life, to live an aligned life. It's important to use things and love people and not the other way around. I'm sure all of you would have heard about this word called yoga. Now, whenever we think of yoga, we would immediately think of a person in funny postures, twisting the body and turning, and that is what many people think yoga to be. Well, that is only one aspect of yoga, which is called as hatha yoga, which is more about the body. But yoga is a phenomenon. Yoga means union. Now, any action which you perform which takes you closer to the source is called as yoga. That means any action that empowers you is yoga. You can also say everything that is righteous is yoga. So, yoga is union which helps us to unite with the source. So, here we are all a part and we are always longing to be with the whole, because science says part always longs to be with the whole. And in order to get to experience that vastness or that connect, we do a lot of many things. And some of them are absolutely off the mark. And therefore, you don't perform yoga. So, here, doing the right things which can take us to the source is what is yoga. So, here, yoga is union. For instance, as I told you, we are all parts and we are longing to be with the whole. Let us say in life you always have a choice. At times you like to eat sweet, and at times you like to eat something bitter. At times you like to be with friends, and at times you like to be alone. At times you like to listen to fast music, and at times you like to listen to soft music. So here you find we always have something divergent every other time. Now, will you ever say, at times I want to be happy and at times I want to be miserable? No. When it comes to happiness, we always want happiness. When we want health, when it comes to health, we always want to be healthy. We never want to be sick. The reason is that because these are natural element which is part of us to be healthy and to be happy. So anything that we are doing is only for these aspects of touching from within, because basically we have these natures and we aspire to be part of that nature, because the part always longs to be the whole. So any time and every time when you perform actions out of love, you're performing yoga. But any time when you perform actions out of selfishness, you're performing viyoga. That means you're going away from the source. And the more you go away from the source, the more miserable you become because you get disconnected. So, therefore, life is alignment. And the more we aligned to that extent, we are going to be very, very powerful. We are going to be empowered and enriched. For instance, let's say there is two boxes. In one box, it's labeled as activities prompted by love, and another box, it is labeled activities prompted by selfishness. Let's say in a day, you perform 15 activities. 10 activities are prompted by love and they are deposited in the love box. And 5 activities which are performed out of selfishness are deposited in the selfishness box. Now, arithmetic says you remove 5 selfishness and then equate it with that 5 love. That means you still have more of love to be getting rewarded. But universal law, the eternal law, the divine law says for every action that you do, you will reap the consequences. If you do actions of love, you will certainly reap the consequences of love. But if you perform actions of selfishness, you have to face the consequences of selfishness. So, therefore, if your selfishness is more, you're going to be miserable. But if your love is more, you're going to be happy. So, it's intelligent on our part to ensure we increase our activities on love so that we can experience happiness totally and slowly decrease the selfishness activity. And the moment we do that, we are certainly leading an aligned life. So, your activities out of love is very, very important. By and by, we always say perform activities out of love basically for selfish reasons, because at the end of the day you are going to be the beneficiary of those activities of love, because what you do is what is going to come back to you. Now, when you're talking about activities out of love, let's not think of something very big. Simple. You're going and you find somebody has opened the tap and the water is dripping. Now you see the tap and say, my God, somebody's opened the tap, and you pass away. You have performed yoga. Because you saw something being wasted, you never took corrective action. But if you go to the tap and close the tap, you have performed activities of yoga. Or let's say you're sitting at a dinner table and then all the family members are there. There you got a sweet box, and we call something as laddu. Let's say there's a box of laddu and each laddu has got one cashew nut popping out. But one particular laddu has got 2 cashew nut popping out. Now generally, where will your hand go to? Towards the laddu with 2 cashew nut. But if you can hold back, restrain yourself and let it for somebody in the family, you have performed an activity of love. That is yoga. So therefore, let us look at every simple activity of us. Are we performing activities out of love, or are we performing activities of selfishness? So therefore, more and more of love is what yoga is. You might be running a company and you got employees. Look at the employees' empowerment and welfare. You're performing yoga. You're relating with a friend. Ensure that your friend is doing well in life. You're performing yoga. You got family members. See to it that you're empowering them. You're performing yoga. So therefore, yoga is about union. So any action that you perform selflessly, any action which you perform which is going to empower people, any action you perform which is going to make the life of others different and beautiful, that is what is yoga. So therefore, let's perform yoga and let's be aligned, because life is an alignment. And the more we are aligned, the more powerful we are going to be. So let our work and life be full of love.